Well, we only have a few parts left. Looking good here. Actually, only a couple. Looks like part number 10 is the punch holder. What this does is it mounts to the side of the Arbor Press, and these holes right here are used to hold punches, which are specialized tooling for machining and things like that. We can punch holes out of sheet metal and things like that with it. So if I just look at it, it looks like it's going to be a kind of a unique shape, and we'll extrude that shape after we get it all sketched out and dimensioned. Once we have that extruded shape, it has two threaded holes on the back side, so 832 threads. And then over here, we'll have another new sketch on this angled surface, and all four of these appear to be the same size. Typical means it's all the same. So we'll go 0.226, and these will be 0.4. So they won't go all the way through the part, but there'll be four of them at different locations, starting from this top, reading these dimensions down. So a few dimensions on here. It looks actually a little harder than it is, but we'll get after it right now. So we'll move that out of the way, and we'll start a new part. And we're going to start a new sketch. And again, based on kind of the view that I'm working off, is I think the front plane will be a good one, XY. I'm going to go ahead and kind of imagine this thing kind of coming up like this, coming over, angling down, kind of going that way. So I'm going to start with a line, and I'm going to start at the origin, and I'm going to come up. It's going to be a vertical line. If I look at it, the overall height of this part is 2 inches, so I'm just going to hit 2 and then hit enter. And then I can zoom out a little bit with my scroll wheel. And the top of this thing, not sure if it's giving me a thickness up at the top. It doesn't really give me a thickness at the top that I can see off the top of my head, so I'm just going to kind of scroll that out a little ways, come down at kind of a funky angle right here. It kind of comes down like this. Then it kind of comes down straight, right? Then it kind of comes over a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of think of this thing as as without that circle in there for right now. We'll just make these, see how that parallel, look in the middle right here, there's a little parallel extrusion comes up. We'll just keep that thing parallel right there. So those two lines are parallel. And then I'll just come down with it. Again, I'm not dimensioning anything. I'm just kind of popping things in there. And then we'll finish things out. I realize this is circular right here. So we'll have to get to that point. All right, so the one thing I can do right away is I can go to dimension, and I know this angle. So I can click this line, and I click this line. When they're at an angle, it'll pop up, instead of numbers, it'll actually pop up an angle right there. And actually, that's not really the line I want. Sorry, I'm going to hit escape to cancel that. Escape cancels that. They're showing you the angle from here to here. See where that dimension is. If you look at the blueprint, they're showing you that angle. So I was clicking on the wrong thing. That's 35 degrees. So that changes that a little bit. Remember, these lines are parallel, so then they update themselves, which is kind of nice. What are some other dimensions that I can see right away? Well, I can see this one. Seems like a pretty easy one to put in, 0.25. What else do I see? Looks like the thickness of this line right here is only 0.2. Okay, sounding good. Kind of looking around a little bit. Kind of gives you an overall length of the part. If I went from here to here, that is showing me 1.5. So that, whoa, crazy. So that changes that up a little bit. What else? What else do we see here? I got that. I got that. We need to kind of work on this circle a little bit. I'm not totally sure where that circle is supposed to go. I see it's 0.83 up, at 0.838 up from the top. So I'm going to go ahead and place myself a point. So I know it's not there. So if the center of that circle is somewhere in there, I'm just going to place that randomly there. We'll go to dimension, and I know from here to the bottom that I can see that dimension. This says 0.838. Where's that put that? That puts that over there. Okay. Now from here, we're looking for a radius or a circle that's 0.25. So I'm going to go ahead and do a circle right here from that point I just placed. And the radius says it's 0.125, but again, since it's a circle, I have to multiply it by 2. So that becomes that guy right there. So that is a full circle, and I feel like some of my lines here where I have this thing placed at, because I don't know where it's supposed to go over here yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tangent constraint on this and this. And what that's going to do is bring the edge of that circle right here to where that thing's supposed to be, because when I look at the blueprint over here, I can kind of see that this is a circle right here. You can see it, and it comes right up on this edge right here, that's where I'm coming up on right here on this edge. So that's part of where I'm at here. This line then should be tangent with this line based on what we looked at there. So let's keep that tangent constraint going, and let's go this line with this line. And so these become tangent to one another. This becomes tangent to one another. And when you look at this, everything's blue. And what that says is I have basically all the dimensions necessary to build. Now, I need to do some stuff because it doesn't exactly look like my shape or whatever. So I need to go ahead and trim some stuff out because I want to be able to extrude it. But I do have everything here now based on what I just saw. So let's do that. We go to that trim command. Remember that trim command? We don't need this part of it. We don't need that part of it. And we don't need the inside part of it. And that would give us the overall shape, everything, life good. We're ready to extrude. So finish sketch. What's the hotkey? Remember the hotkey on the keyboard is E. Automatically pops you into that. How thick is that bad boy? 0.5. And we'll go ahead and hit OK. And now you have what looks like the base of this punch holder ready to go. Let's go ahead and click on the angle here on the view cube. Flip us to the back side. Select this face. Create a new sketch. Bring that new sketch over here. We're going to place a couple points so we can put the threaded holes on the back side. So we're going to place a point. Again, see how this thing isn't popping up? I can go project geometry, project that whole face. Now when I go to the point, you'll see the ant trail. Okay? So we know it's centered. We're just not sure exactly where it's centered at. So we'll just place 2 points there. We'll go dimension. And the dimensions that they're giving us is from the bottom to this point is telling me it's 0.150. And then they're also telling me that from the bottom to this point is supposed to be 1.850. Okay, so now I have the placement. These were already centered, remember, because of my ant trail. So I don't have to go a dimension here to a dimension here. I don't have to do that because I already have that centered in there. So I can place it if I want to, but I don't need to. So I'll just do it to show you guys, but you can tell it's 0.25500. So once that's done, you can go ahead and click Finish Sketch. What's next? Hole command. What kind of holes we put in here? If you remember from the blueprint, they are actually threaded holes. See, it's calling out 8-32. Whoops, excuse me. 832, but this one only goes at a depth of 0.3 in. This one goes at a depth, well, it doesn't tell me a depth. See, remember the depth symbol? So it actually goes all the way through that bad boy. All right, so we need to do that with our design. So in this case, we need to not go from the sketch. I should have probably made 2 sketches because those are 2 really separate holes. But if I want to, I can change, or I can select just the point that I want to use sometimes. Doesn't really like it that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to cancel this command. Sometimes things don't work in Inventor. Not a big deal. Come over here, double click this sketch. Let's just get rid of this point right here. So I selected it and I hit delete. Finish sketch. I'm just going to put the one in the bottom to start with. Okay. So I go back to hole, see how it automatically defaults. This one goes all the way through the part, so I can just do a threaded hole. Size of it, what's it say? 8-32. So that's a number 8. 8. Number 8. 832 is the right designation. Through all. If I do through all, see what it's trying to do right now? It's trying to go all the way through this thing. Well, I don't want to go that far. I'm going to use 2. 2 is kind of cool because you can actually select the view cube over here, and 2 will say, where do you want to go to? Well, I just want to go through this part right here. See that? And then it'll just put the hole through that part. So 2, where you want it to stop at. And now you have a threaded hole just through that back side. Love it. All right, looking good. Guess what? We need to go ahead and put that other one back on there again. So we'll just make another 2D sketch. Remember, there's always 2 ways to start sketches. You can either do it right on the face or do it up here. Put a point in here. Again, we want that to pop down, get an ant trail. We want a dimension from the bottom to the piece, and that was 1.850. Okay, looks good. Yep, finish sketch. And we're going to, let's double click that once. Let's just verify that from here to here is 0.25. Okay, good. Just making sure. Finish sketch. Hole. This one is going to be a threaded hole. Remember, it defaults to 832 because that's what you just did. But there's a depth, so instead of going to something, we're going to go to a distance. So these numbers, it says 0.3 is how deep these holes are supposed to go. So we'll make those 0.3 and 0.3. If I look at that, it doesn't look like it's going to go all the way through the part. That's good. We don't want it to. Hit OK. We're good. So we have 2 holes now. We had to do separate ones because they have different end termination things. And next up, and I think this would be the last step, is to create the other holes. Now, if I look at the blueprint, all the other holes are the same. So these are TYP, so they're all the same depth, just different spacing. So I can make all, I can just use one sketch for this thing. So let's flip that around from the corner. Oh, Nelly. Let's click on this face, create a sketch. Brings me to the face of it, which is sweet. I'm going to go ahead and project the geometry of that whole face right there that I'm working on. Go in, and I'm just going to put some points in the center. I need 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks good. Dimension. From the top to the first point is 0.336. From the top to the second point, just looking at the blueprint here, 0.736. Top to the next point, 1.186. Top to the last point, 1.736. So we're all lined up. Everything, I used the ant trail, so they're all horizontal to one another. I used this middle point to make sure they were all horizontal. If I want to, I can double check just like I did with the last one and made sure that was 2.5, but it is. So we're all good to go. So all our points are lined up. We can click Finish Sketch. You know it, hole. We're going with just a normal hole, so we need to switch that back. I just want a normal hole, nothing fancy. These holes do have a distance, so how deep are they supposed to go? 0.4. How big are they? 0.226. Hit OK. If I kind of click and drag, I can click and drag that view cube if I want to, and I can rotate it myself to look at all the things. Look at that. It's like a high heel, but it's a punch holder, so we're good. Inventor eye properties. You probably imagine what this is made out of. Getting better at this. Aluminum 6061. Close. Save. Man, we got a lot of parts in here. We're doing good work. Part 10. Punch holder. And congratulations. That's a pretty complicated part that you definitely rocked out on. So good job.